This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country.
Oh my God. Incredible. Amazing news. I'm going to break this down. It's so hilarious. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and a bunch of other right-wing freaks were apparently paid by Russia. Interesting. Now, I'll get to their knowledge or lack thereof of where the money was coming from. But to me, this isn't the point. The point is there is so much damn money on the right that if you choose to sell out, you can live a very comfortable life. We are talking $100,000 a week. So some of the details here are just incredible. This broke here by Yashar Ali on Twitter. The U.S. Department of Justice alleges that Tenet Media, which has Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin on the roster, received $10 million from the Russian government to publish content as part of a Russian influence operation. Tenet is owned and controlled by Lauren Chen, who is affiliated with Turning Point USA, and her husband, Liam Donovan, who are Canadians. I and Celine Dion continue to be the best things to come out of Canada. Canada not sending their best here. So before I get to the actual news, I just want to, it's important to give context here because this is a massive story right now. Like, there's a ton of coverage about this. There was barely any discussion about the fact that Israel also secretly targeted U.S. lawmakers with an influence campaign and appear to continue to do so. So I broke this down in a video. I'll link to this below when the news came out on June 5th. But a government body of Israel allocated about $2 million to the operation and hired Stoic, a political marketing firm in Tel Aviv, to carry it out. So basically putting out hundreds of fake accounts, focusing largely on U.S. lawmakers and trying to get them to continue or get this idea out there that they should continue funding Israel's military. And they also used AI to help distribute this as well. So I'm just giving this for context because this should also be a big story, and it wasn't because Israel is viewed as an ally, even though they're committing a genocide. But that not a big story here. Meanwhile, this story is big, as it should be, because it is a wild story. So AP reporting here, an indictment filed on Wednesday alleges a media company linked to 6 conservative influencers, including well-known personalities Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson, was secretly funded by Russia state media to churn out English language videos that were often consistent with the Kremlin's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to Russian interests, like its war in Ukraine. So this is the indictment. I'm going to pull a couple pieces from it, but I'll link to this below as well in case you want to read through it. But I will reference some of the information in there. So Eric Tolle here tweeting out, the indictment specifies that 2 of the people who work for this Tennessee company were deceived, meaning they didn't know that the Russian government was running an influence op. Dave Rubin, so it's speculated here in terms of who Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 are. So Commentator 1 and 2, who respectively have over 2.4 million and 1.3 million YouTube subscribers. So it appears that Commentator 2 is Tim Pool and Commentator 1 is Dave Rubin, though apparently it may also be Benny Johnson, who also has around 2.4, so it's not clear which one is Commentator 1. I tend to believe it's Dave Rubin because he has more of a reach, at least from what I have witnessed over the past several years, than Benny Johnson does. And I also think it's him because we're going to get to one of the correspondence between Dave Rubin and this company when Dave Rubin was questioning where this money was coming from, but not in a way that you would think. So this is the site. This should be a red flag immediately. I don't follow these guys' careers close enough, but if I had seen that a company or a YouTube channel with only 316,000 subscribers, less than my channel, for some reason is able to get on Tim Pool, who has millions of more subs, as well as, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, and others who have million more subs than Tenet Media does, that should raise a red flag. Why is this channel with a small following compared to the people they're hiring? Why are they able to pull them in? That gets to, well, they must have money. Okay, where is that money coming from? Well, now we know. So As AP reports here, Tenet Media's 6 main influencers have more than 7 million subscribers on YouTube and more than 7 million followers on Twitter. So the Department of Justice doesn't allege any wrongdoing. I want to be clear about this. They don't allege any wrongdoing by the influencers, some of whom says that we're given false information about the source of the company's funding. Instead, it accuses 2 employees of RT, a Russian state media company, of funneling nearly 10 million to the company to pay these influencers that money to deliver the content. So they did not know about about Russia's involvement, being led to believe that they were being funded by a made-up investor named Edward Gregorian. So when they asked about who is this guy? I haven't heard of Edward Gregorian. Who's this guy? They sent over this fake profile of who he is. He's an experienced finance professional and investor, deeply engaged in business and philanthropy, leveraging skills and resources to drive positive impact, supporting a range of organizations worldwide with a dynamic presence, mainly in Brussels and London, engaging in personal and professional pursuits in each location with a focus on poverty alleviation, championing free speech, and advocating for social justice causes. I pause there because commentator 1, who appears to be Dave Rubin, might be Benny Johnson, but I think it's Dave Rubin, apparently had a problem with the profile, specifically the reference to social justice. Not that, hey, why Edward Gregorian, who is this guy? I never heard of this guy. Who are you taught? Like, why have I never heard of this person? And all of a sudden he has all this money to give me. No, that isn't the problem. Where that money's coming from, who cares about that? Social justice? Hey now. He sounds kind of liberal to me. I don't know if I should be taking money from this guy. And so they promised that Founder 1 suggested that Commentator 1, Rubin, and Edward could simply speak together to clarify the profile. I am very curious who they spoke to, who Rubin or Benny Johnson spoke to, because there is no Edward Gregorian. But they spoke to somebody pretending to be Edward. And I guess they probably answered the questions that Dave Rubin had by saying, shut up, we got money. So the indictment shows that some of the influencers were paid handsomely for their work. One unidentified influencer's contract included a $400,000 monthly fee, $100,000 a week, and a $100,000 signing bonus. And there's more. Additional performance bonus. So who knows how much money that was. This kind of money is insane. I have been saying this since I started my channel, back in 2015. Take a look. Ask yourself, how is it that these right-wing channels pop up out of nowhere and they have full crews, a real production budget, multiple cameras, a proper set? Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with some game controllers in the background, a fake plant that I bought at Canadian Tire, and some game controllers here. And I've been doing this shit for almost 10 years. Yet how do these freaks have so much money? This is why. Not even just, I want to be clear, not because of Russia, but there is so much money on the right. Be it billionaires, be it Russia. There is a lot of money to pay these freaks to say the shit that they say. Now, I also want to be clear. I don't think Tim Pool was paid to say things. I don't think Dave Rubin was paid to say things. They were simply given the money to help boost this account with things that they were already saying. So the YouTube account. So that they were simply, they wanted to, sure, send certain messages out there, and they were apparently, there was things that were that they were suggested to look at or cover. And some of the, especially some of the other, there's 3 other people who are lesser known. I guess they're in this picture here, that were more willing to, take the money to say whatever they were told to say. But they're paid. People like Tim Pool, Dave Rubin are paid because they are already doing the bidding of what Russia wants done in terms of propping up the right and criticizing the money given to Ukraine on a consistent basis, which I think it's fair just generally to argue, hey, how much money is fair? Should there be more of a focus on diplomacy as opposed to just giving money for weapons? That's a fair discussion. But when it becomes a part of a larger discussion about propping up figures like Donald Trump, then you are working in the favor of the people that are paying you, even if they aren't doing it in a way that is, paying you to say, I'm paying you say this. They're not. I don't think they're doing that. But it is the connection there is clear. These people are simply doing what this company already wanted done. Now, here's an example of the kind of work that Tim Pool put out.
But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia. And they know it.
And we should apologize to Russia. After they launched an offensive into Ukraine, we should apologize to them. So again, it's not like Tim Pool was given a script. Hey, read this script. That's not what he's doing here. But there are definitely influences, suggestions that are made. Hey, did you see this story? Did you cover this? Did you think about this? That work on the minds of these people regardless. But again, a lot of this stuff they'd be saying anyway, because this is the pipeline that they are in. This is the incredibly lucrative pipeline that they are in, and why they continue to be in it, because it is incredibly lucrative. Again, Tim Pool has a mansion. He has like an underground skate park. He has a whole crew, this big set, all these microphones. He flies guests in. Who has that money on the left? Even TYT, who's been doing this for like 20 years, they built up to finally have, a proper studio. But you can see the progression that channel made over, a couple decades. There's no one else. Like Hassan, makes money, but he's one guy who is really good at what he does on Twitch and happens to have, a massive following. Not happens to have, he earned that following. But again, we're talking two people that have maybe somewhat comparable sort of money to what these right-wingers do, from what we know, because it sure as hell seems like Tim Pool has a hell of a lot more money than either TYT or Hassan. But again, I don't know. Look at everybody else. We don't have this kind of money. Again, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. No one's paid me to say anything. No one's paying me at all. I have to rely on YouTube and Patreon. It is just insane, the amount of money that these people get. So there's also, the company itself, Tenet, was putting out propaganda as well. And even their own producer was questioning the stuff that they were told to put out. So on February 15th, 2024, the company wanted a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. So we're talking about Tucker. We covered this video on the Leftist Mafia podcast. It's hilarious. Like Tucker walking around this Russian grocery store. Oh my God, it's amazing. And look, you put the cart back and you get your coin back. Like he had never seen. Apparently he'd never been to a grocery store before, because that's very common, at least where I am, to put your cart back and, you put a little coin in to encourage you to put your cart back. But he went around this store just being amazed at how incredible this Russian grocery store is. And this account, the social media account, by the actual Tenet social media account was told to post this video. And the producer was like, this is kind of, it just feels like overt shilling. Like even the producer working for this company being paid by Russia was like, this is a little heavy. This is a little heavy-handed here. It's kind of obvious what we're doing here. And they still put it out. Thinks we should put it out, says the founder there. So they put it out, despite the obvious bullshit that they were propagating. So I should have teased this earlier, because this is hilarious. I'm going to get to this, the responses here from the various commentators. But this is a Guardian piece. Look at who they put in for Tim Pool. That's not Tim Pool. The editor saw, this guy has a beanie. I guess that's Tim Pool. What's the extent of it? I'm not sure if this is on purpose, by accident. It's very, I mean, you don't have to know who Tim Pool is if you did any research at all in this story. You look at the actual website, Tim Pool's face is right up there on the Tenet Media site. That guy, clearly not Tim Pool, but that's the image they used. Hilarious. So their headline here, U.S. conservative influencers say they are victims of Russian disinformation campaign. This is amazing. Their responses, oh, God, you really feel for them. So Pool, a popular podcaster with more than, whatever. Let's go into the quote here. Said, should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. Oh, we are the victims. $100,000 a week. I am the victim. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. They are paying you because they know the shit that you do, and they want to be able to associate themselves with what you do. Johnson, who has 2.7 million followers on X, said he was disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which makes clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. Here's the thing. I don't know if they knew where this money was coming from, but I think you would have to be a complete moron to not at least have some questions in your mind. This channel with very little following compared to mine wants to pay me a shit ton of money. They're talking a lot about Ukraine and Russia. And you don't have any questions about that? No, I'm concerned about the social justice aspect of this. The fake founder says he's for social justice. There had to have been questions in their mind. But again, when you're chasing money, you don't care. You just blinders on. All right, whatever. I'm not going to ask questions. It's weird, but I want the money. And that's what I think happened here. And so the way they're all playing victim now, to me, is so ridiculous. Rubin said on X that he knew absolutely nothing. Out of all of them, I actually believe Rubin because he is a complete idiot. So I can believe that Rubin did not know what was behind this, but knew nothing about any of this fraudulent activity. And the allegations show that I and other commentators were the victims of this scheme. They all just appear to be copy and pasting each other here. All victims. You're always victims. Every content they put, everything they put out, they are always the victim. The right is always the victim. Look at all of their content. They are always bitching about some bullshit. They are always the victims. Ridiculous. Victims for taking so much damn money for doing so little work. It's important to be clear. This is not simply Russia. This is right-wing commentary. There is billions of dollars, largely from billionaires, American billionaires, funneling money into these individuals because they are propagating the exact message that they want propagated. They want to distract people largely with made-up social war issues, culture war issues, turning an issue of human rights, like trans people, into a culture war issue as a distraction from what is actually going on. The fact that massive corporations and billionaires are making out like bandits while everybody else is struggling.